We'll call the public hearing meeting of this municipality of Sioux Lookout to order at 5:30 p.m. We have just one item on the agenda for this meeting. Introduction of amendments to the agenda.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, I have none.
So I'll have it moved by Councillor Lego and seconded by Councillor Timpson that the agenda for the public hearing of November 18th be approved as presented. All in favor? Carried. Declarations of pecuniary interest.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, I have none. And just as a way of update, I just received word from Councillor Fenelon that he may be a bit late logging on. He's having slow internet. So in response to your previous comment.
Yeah, I think that's a problem. And Hudson may have less capacity than we do. So, and that wasn't a knock against Hudson. It was just an observation. So Shoreline Road Allowance Closure and Sale, Nobbies, applicant Slate Falls First Nation, Nobbies Fly-In Camps Limited. This is a public hearing convened under the Ontario Municipal Act 2001 to authorize the closure and sale of shoreline road allowance abutting the property described as Plan M220, Part 1, 23R 3469 and Part 4, 23R 639. An offer to purchase the shoreline road allowance as described above has been received from Slate Falls First Nation owners of Nobbies Fly-In Camps Limited. It is their intention to use the additional land to expand the existing property and to further develop the site into a multi-purpose commercial building. Confirmation of notice. The Development Services Manager will confirm how notice was served to advertise this public hearing.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, the proposal to purchase the shoreline allowance was circulated to internal staff for comments. Notice was advertised in the bulletin for 3 consecutive weeks and on the municipal website as well, sent by mail to the abutting neighbors and various agencies, and 2 notice signs were posted at the property entrance.
Thank you. The Development Services Manager will provide a summary of the application.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, a request to purchase the unopened shoreline road allowance fronting the property legally known as Plan M220 Part 1 between 23R 3469 and Part 4 23R 6398 was submitted by Slate Falls Nation, owner of Nobbies Fly-In Camp Limited. It is the owner's intention to use the additional land to develop the entire site into a multi-purpose commercial building. The portion of shoreline road allowance that fronts parts between 23R 3469 and Part 4 23R 6398, Lot 8 does not provide public or emergency access. If this area is sold, adjoining landowners will not be deprived of access to the water. The tariff of fees recommends fair market value if the addition results in a significant increase in value or a $1,000 flat fee, which plus HST. Council has the option to charge the flat fee or to require a market value appraisal to establish the price. However, there's no expectation this would increase the value of the property enough to warrant this. An administration fee of $1,250 was paid by the purchaser to cover the cost of advertising and staff time to process the application. The purchaser is responsible for all survey costs, legal fees, and registration costs.
Thank you. Correspondence from government agencies and municipal staff.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, the comments we received were from Andrew Jewell, Public Works Manager, and he does not recommend selling the property in its entirety, as there is a lift station that occupies a portion of this area that may require upgrading in the near future, and they need to have, uninhibited access to the site or to that area. So in discussions with the proponent, if approved tonight, we would then provide survey instructions that would, permit access to this lift station. Those are the only comments received.
Correspondence from members of the public.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, we received none.
The applicant or representative is invited to speak to the application. Lars, I take it you're the representative. Do you wish to speak to the application?
No, I just think we want to build and we want to expand, and that's really what it's all about. And we're hoping to get started in the spring. And we need access. We use the access right now. So. And I'm probably going to lose some parking space up top, I'm thinking.
Thank you. Now, we will now go to members of council for questions and comments. So I will go round to the table as I once knew the table. Councillor Howie.
Yeah, so I don't have any comments in understanding the Public Works Manager's reservations about selling the property in its entirety. I support his recommendation to sell and preserve that space. That's my position on this.
Thank you. Councillor Timpson.
Just a question. Is it the airline office that you're expanding, or is it the where the restaurant used to be, Lars?
It's where the restaurant used to be, is where things are getting expanded.
Okay, and are you, yeah, is there any possibility the restaurant's going to come back, or?
There is a possibility, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I have no issues with it, subject to the Public Works Manager's comments.
Thank you. Councillor Bath.
Yeah, I have no concerns with this. I always believe that Slate Falls owned the road down there, so I'm quite happy they didn't. I guess we get a bit for it, and I agree with Public Works concern because the lift station there. So I'm glad to see this moving ahead.
Thank you. Councillor Fenlon, has he joined us, clerk?
Yes, I have, yes.
Thanks. Councillor Fenlon.
Where are you?
Sorry, I'm in my office at the municipal.
No, I mean, where are we on the meeting?
We are at the, and we're in the special meeting regarding the sale of the road allowance south of Wellington, adjacent to Nobby's.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I did review it. I don't have it in front of me here, but I did look at it. If we open that up, what does that mean to, we have a pumping station right there close by, eh?
In the comments, you must have joined just after the Development Services Manager read out comments from the Public Works Manager.
Yeah.
And perhaps I could just ask you Development Service Managers to quickly review that for Councillor Fenlon.
Sure, through you, Mayor Lawrence. Yeah, this was brought to our attention about the lift station, and we knew about it from the get-go there. So through, if approved by council tonight, in providing survey instructions, will ensure that, you know, the lift station is left out of it and ensure that we provide access to it and do our best to give them as much space as they can to support their development.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cassidy.
I have no new comments really to add here. I think this is great to see this lot get developed and then some from what it was previously. And yeah, same thing with the lift station, as long as there's enough room, if it does get upgraded, to even factor in those upgrades going forward. So I think it's a good catch, and yeah, glad to see it.
Thank you. Councillor Lego.
No, I'm in favor of this. I think everything's been covered with the Public Works and around the council table, so everything looks good to me.
Thank you. I just on the lift station, I know the Public Works Manager isn't on the call, so I'll rely on you, Development Services Manager. Several months ago at the council table, we discussed the lift station. Is this the lift station that was used as periodically used as a dumping station for RVs?
Through your Mayor Lawrence, yeah, it's not directly into the lift station itself, but just adjacent to it on Moscato's property there.
Oh, so the dumping station is on Moscato's property?
I believe that's how I understand it, yeah.
Okay. I was hoping this might be resolving that. I'm wondering if there's an opportunity, and this is above and beyond what the applicant is looking for, but for the municipality to perhaps solve that issue at the same time.
Yeah.
Just a thought that we might be able to slice off a piece of land here to do that. That's my only comment, supportive of moving ahead with this. Questions from members of the public? Clerk, through you.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, I have not received any questions from members of the public, although I'd like to double check with the Development Services Manager in case he has received any.
Through your Mayor Lawrence, no.
Thank you. So, Clerk, do I need to review the part about all questions to be directed through the chair? I don't think that's necessary now.
Correct.
Thank you. Conclusion and right of appeal process. This is a public hearing convened under the Ontario Municipal Act to authorize the closure and sale of shoreline road allowance abutting the property described as Plan M220, Part 1, 23R 3469, and Part 4, 23R 639. There is no appeal process. The motion will be, do you want a motion now, Clerk? That council receives this report respecting road allowance closure and sale application for Novice Fly-in Camps. This is the motion at this point?
Yes.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Cassidy, seconded by Councillor Lego. All in favor? We're just receiving the report at this time. Confirmatory bylaw number 84-20 to confirm the proceedings of the Council of Municipality of Sioux Lookout. Public hearing be read a first, second, and third time and passed. Moved by Councillor Fanlon, seconded by Councillor Howie. All in favor? Carried. And before we adjourn, perhaps is the applicant aware of the process from here on? Maybe Development Services Manager, you could review that, or Clerk?
That would be nice.
Yeah, through your Mayor Lawrence, we'll reach out to the applicant after this and we'll go through the next steps.
Yeah, so on the decision on price, how is that determined?
We usually use a flat fee of $1,000 for the price.
No council resolutions required for that?
No, unless council determines that they feel the market value of the property is going to increase substantially, they may ask for a market appraisal. But typically, these shoreline road allowances don't increase the value by that much. So,
can I assume the council is going with the typical flat fee? I see no objections here, no objections. So, Lars, the Development Services Manager, will be in contact with you. The council is essentially given the okay here, and he'll run through it with you as to how to proceed.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys later.
You bet. Thanks, Lars. Did we do a motion to adjourn the special meeting, the public hearing? No, I did.
Fire one, yes.
Motion to adjourn the public hearing, moved by Councillor Timpson, seconded by Councillor Bath. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to our regular council meeting. So I'll call the regular meeting of council November 18th to order at 5:44 p.m. and ask for introduction of amendments to the agenda.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, should council wish to confirm the details of the sale of the shoreline road allowance, we could add a brief motion to this agenda to do that. That way, you can confirm that the sale price will be the $1,000. We can do that at this meeting if you wish.
I think council would support that absolutely, to move this along.
Okay, so that could be added as item number 7.5 under staff reports.
Any further amendments, Council? I see Councillor Timpson has her hand up. Yeah.
Yeah, The bylaw 0920, a procedure bylaw, I would have thought that there would have been a staff report on that we could have reviewed the changes, all the changes that we suggested. And I would like to see that discussed.
I think we already, clerk, CAO, I think we already did that, did we not?
We discussed one particular aspect last council meeting,
This is
the
really,
public participation, but there were a number of other changes as well.
clerk, please.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, yes, council held a special meeting on September 9th, where all of council's concerns and comments were looked at and addressed, and staff then took all of that direction and incorporated all of those changes into the procedure bylaw. The only two items that were left, to the best of my understanding, were the items that were discussed at the October council meeting, which had to do with public participation in meetings and criteria for calling special meetings electronically or virtually. It was my understanding that those were the only two items that were left to be determined by council. And so the bylaw that's before council this evening incorporates the direction from both the September 9th special and the October 21st regular council meetings.
I thought we held a vote on that too, did we not? On the first and second readings?
Through Mayor Lawrence, yes, first and second reading were given to the bylaw when it was initially presented in June.
Okay, thanks.
The issue is that we never really had a final copy to sit down and go through with the changes that were suggested on September 9th. We just didn't have the opportunity to look at the final copy and discuss it if the changes were put in as we discussed them. There were more than just two. There were a number of things that.
Through Mayor Lawrence, yes,
Please,
the document from the September 9th special council meeting detailed all of council's comments. And as you'll recall, we went through them one at a time, and council provided direction on whether they wanted to keep it as it was or adopt a change or make some other change. And so all of that direction that was given on September 9th is incorporated into the bylaw that council received as part of this agenda package.
Yeah, it seems to me that we've been through this in detail over the course of a few meetings and had the opportunity to look into it. My understanding this was pretty well final. Council, anybody else? I'm not sure what if you're suggesting to amend the agenda for a staff report, that would mean deleting it from the agenda or deferring it.
Yeah, I mean, I had a number of concerns about the bylaw, and I would have expected, and what we've had in the past is that we've received the bylaw and received the amendments in red, showing the initial wording and then the what has been amended. That would make it a lot easier. I just feel that the procedure here has not been as it should be. I wasn't aware until Monday that we were going to finalize this, and I managed. It's a 30-page document that I think would have been worth a second look.
I think personally, and I'll let other councils, I think we've had several looks at it, discussed it in detail, and as I recall, was there not a recorded vote to adopt something at one point? Was that the recorded vote? Or?
Yeah, it was a recorded vote on the issue that I raised. Yeah.
Yeah, and council expressed, I think, because it was a recorded vote, I do recall it was a 6-1 vote, Councillor Timpson. So it seems to me, understand you have some they were expressed and it was voted on by council. But council, so I'm not sure, clerk, you'd have to help me. It's on, if you're asking for a report, then you're asking for this to be, I suppose, Mr. Clerk, the councillor is asking for this to be deferred to another meeting. In that case, I would ask, help me procedurally, clerk, can I ask council, would I ask council, is that their wish? Or?
Through Mayor Lawrence, that That's fine. Yes, certainly. If that's council's wish, it can be deferred and a staff report can be brought back to a subsequent meeting.
No, I'm asking you, it's not my wish as one of the members of council. My wish is to proceed with the third reading tonight, but can I ask council what their wishes are?
Certainly, this is the time to amend the agenda. So if council wishes to remove that item from the agenda, this
Okay.
would be the time to do it. Yes.
So perhaps you could, just to be procedurally correct, you could provide the wording for a motion that I would put to council.
The motion essentially has to do with item 2.2, the confirmation of the agenda. And so it would just be that the agenda for the regular council meeting of November 18th, 2020 be approved as amended. And the amendment would be the removal of that bylaw from the list of bylaws to be presented tonight.
I guess what I'm trying to do is simplify things by having a pre-resolute, because we already have an amendment, as you've stated. And I think that's was quite accepted. I can't remember what it was now. It seemed quite minor. Do I put this to a vote because to defer this item is what I'm asking before we amend the agenda?
Yes. Sorry,
So-
I misunderstood. Yes,
Okay, so council, can I do a straw vote here? Or does
certainly.
it, council,
Your worship,
CAO, yeah, thank you.
we need a mover and seconder for that motion.
Okay, and that was the motion I was asking. So I guess the motion quite simply is, does council wish to defer item?
I can assist if you like, Mayor Lawrence.
Thank you.
With that wording. So it would be that council defers the passing of bylaw number 0920, being a bylaw governing the calling place and proceedings of meetings of council and council appointed boards, commissions, and committees.
Moved by Councillor Fanlon, seconded by Councillor Howie. And the motion was to defer it.
Yes.
So if you don't want it to defer, your vote will be negative. If you want it deferred, all in favor of deferring it. I see Councillor Timpson, Councillor Howie, Councillor Fanlon. I have three. All opposed to deferring it. I count 4-3. That motion to amend the agenda is defeated. So now we have the motion that the agenda be amended as per your amendment, Mr. Clerk. And could you remind us what that amendment was?
Certainly. Essentially, there will be a brief resolution that'll appear as item 7.5, which respecting the road allowance closure and sale. And then there will be the addition of bylaw number 80-20, which is the bylaw to declare it surplus and to close the road.
Good. I'll ask you for any wording that needs to come up at that time. Moved by Councillor Fanlon, seconded by Councillor Cassidy, that the agenda be accepted as amended. All in favor? Carried. Declarations of pecuniary interest.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, I have none.
Motion to adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting held on October 21, 2020, and the special council meetings held on September 9, 2020, October 22nd, 2020, and October 23rd, 2020 be approved as presented. Moved by Councillor Howie, seconded by Councillor Lego. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Motion to receive the minutes of the Northwestern Health Unit Board of Health meeting held September 25th, 2020 be received. Moved by Councillor Howie, seconded by Councillor Timpson. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Determination of items requiring separate discussion. Item 7.1, borrowing funds to finance capital projects. Item 7.2,
7.2, I saw no hands, correct? No. Item 7.2, Mayfair 58 Front Street. Councillor Timpson. Item 7.3, Municipal Health and Safety.
Oh, yeah.
Councillor Timpson. Item 7.4, confirming Columbaria purchases for cemeteries. Councillor Lego. And I don't think I can call out the road allowance, but I don't, item 7.5, I'm not sure whether it fits into this category. I'll call it out, 7.5. The road allowance that we just discussed in the special meeting, the public hearing. No, okay, thank you. So I have items listed as 7.2, 7.3, and 7.4. So we need a motion to adopt the items not requiring separate discussion, and that would be items 7.1 and 7.5. Moved by Councillor Bath, seconded by Councillor Fanlon to adopt items 7.1 and 7.5. All in favor? Carried. Moving on to delegations. Our delegation is present, clerk. Thank you. And I will ask for the correct pronunciation after, but I will say we have a delegation from Regan Breeze, a request for honeybee pollinator support to request relief from bylaw number 1606 for the months of May and June. Regan, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. The floor is yours to make your presentation. You have 10 minutes.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council and audience. My name is Regan Breeze, and I know this may be a little unique that somebody's trying to do a proclamation that isn't a resident of the municipality of Sioux Lookout. What I've been doing so far is I've been going against and with and supporting municipal elected officials and respective mayors on having proclamations within our municipalities in the 807 area code for now. Many have been improving. It's just been on the forefront since the fall time, and it takes a little bit of time. What I'm asking for is the support from the municipality of Sioux Lookout. You may not know this, or you may know this, but you guys have some of the most educated honeybee keepers within your municipality in all of Ontario. It's a unique, it's a beautiful, it's an art. It's one of the most beautiful things ever that I'm trying to bring to the forefront to support our honeybees. With that being said, I'm willing to work with the municipal elected officials within the municipality and it's bring on some beautification with some simple flowers that can happen. But what I'm actually looking for is to have a proclamation set forth for Sioux Lookout to have April and May deemed as honeybee appreciation months, as I've had two other municipalities agree to. And with that being said, April and May, as we know, we don't really cut our lawns already as it is, living in the Northwestern Ontario. But that's when some of the key vital flowers and weeds that are opened up in the springtime that are viable nectar and pollen for our honeybees and our pollinators. With that being said, I am asking for those 2 months to be a non-enforcement bylaw for vegetation growth within the municipality of Sioux Lookout. I am also a businessman. I am going to say that. I'll be very open and transparent with you all. But at the same time, this is not a business case whatsoever. I am looking at putting rooftop beekeeping on top of restaurants. 100% of the donations of the honey that is created by those rooftop businesses is given back to the business to create something unique, used for a food, a drink, a glaze, a dessert. It is beautiful. I do have a full-time job. I will tell you, respected mayor and council, I do work for the Ministry of Natural Resources. I am a fire safety officer nationally, so I am busy, but I also have a junior beekeeping course that I've been putting on throughout different municipalities that has 170 junior beekeepers that are from the age of 4 till 12 years old, that I will be teaching and educating one of the most beautiful and natural arts ever. So with that being said, you may have a few questions. I could speak to this on days upon days about bees because a lot of people do not know about them. But if you want your food markets to flourish, you want your community gardens to flourish, you want your school banks, food groups to flourish, or even in the vegetable department and nuts and some of the clothing that we wear. If you want to see that in the stores, you might want to jump on board. I'm going to be straight up honest and positive with you folks. I'm very direct. I'm very autocratic. I don't mean to be sounding a little that guy, but I am that guy. But I'm very passionate about this. I've been on CBC quite a few times about this. I have a lot of support. We have Toronto, London, Oshawa, a lot of people down there, and a lot of politicians are looking at us right now on this positive movement that we're doing. And once again, something positive to the municipality of Sioux Lookout is the fact that it isn't going to cost you a cent. All we have to do is deem a few areas to allow our weeds to grow. You have a beautiful entrance into your municipality already, being the underpass from the railway. We could use growing thyme. It only grows 2 inches. Deer hate it. So you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about other dangers, but it flowers and it's beautiful. It has different flower colors. And at the same time, you don't have a carbon footprint with your municipal employees cutting because you don't need to. It only grows to about 2 inches. That is it. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I know you have a lot of questions. I respect you for having me with you tonight. And please, I'm going to leave the floor to you. And I have a lot of beautiful things that are going on. And I hope to see in the years to come, if this goes on, to be in your municipality, to teach the junior beekeeping course within Sioux Lookout to your youth, to give them one of the most beautiful educational components that really, truly isn't really taught so much on how vitally important this species is to our world's existence. And I know you hear a lot about global warming, but we need to go back one step, because without the bees, this is where global warming happens, and our bees are on decline. So, respected councilors and your worship, I apologize. I could speak, like I said, for days upon this, but let's make a positive movement. We're Northwest Ontario. We're proactive. We're leaders. Let's show people. Let's show the world. Yeah, I know we're Northwest Ontario. We're beautiful people up here. We can do it. So Dryden's on board. Fort Francis is on board. Kenora, they have beekeeping as stipulated as agriculture within their bylaw. They asked me to come back because they got public outcry on this to change the bylaw. So now I'm part of the zoning committee with the city of Kenora. I teamed up with Lake of the Woods Brewery. We could go big with this, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not saying that as a business guy. I am truly not. I want the bees. I want our life. I want a healthy ecosystem. I want to see biodiversity. And I love teaching our youth. And that right now is one of the biggest things with kids being out of school because of the COVID era. We're losing future leaders. And I want to captivate on this. And I know you all do too. And I'm looking around and I know I have your attention. So, ladies and gentlemen, any questions?
Thanks,
Ask me.
Regan.
I'm not David Suzuki, but I'm pretty darn close.
Thanks, Regan. I'll go around the table. Just before I do though, I just want to clarify in what I read out on our agenda, it says for the months of May and June, and you said the months of April and May.
Oh,
Is
sorry,
it-
May and June, sir. Yes, absolutely. Yes. I correct myself. Sorry, I apologize.
That's all right. You're from the north. You'll know April, we're a bit farther north perhaps. April wouldn't have much effect up here. So May and June. Thank you.
Yes.
All right,
yes.
I'll go around the table and get comments or questions. Councillor Howie.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you, Mr. Breeze, and I fully support your proposal to seek relief from this bylaw. I agree with this approach wholeheartedly, and I believe it's time that we highlight the importance of bees in our natural environment, and also understand the numerous benefits numerous health benefits from the consumption of locally made honey, and the health benefits and as well as social benefits, community benefits from participating in an activity such as beekeeping. So I want to thank you again for your presentation, and just want to express my support for this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
Councillor Timpson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Breeze. I really appreciate your taking this initiative. Actually, and Councillor Cassidy, we're both on the Environment Committee, and this issue did come up. We had a delegation from somebody in the community about this issue. I think it might have been about 6 months ago. And we were going to look at it for this year. So this is a great springboard for us. It might be something that too we could take to the Environment Committee as to how we can help and promote this. And possibly we could do a Zoom with you with our Environment Committee or something like that. I'm quite prepared to take that further. I am very, very appreciative to you for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bath.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Breeze. I certainly agree with this. I support it fully. I've been letting my flowers grow for the last 5 years, and since we've been hearing more about the bees, and I think it's great. I don't want to see us letting our yards go all to pot by letting the grass grow a foot high. But I certainly think when we can sort out the flowers from the weeds that aren't helpful to the bees. And that's great. One question I have for you, do we have any at-risk bee species in this area?
So with that being said, that's a very good question, sir. The native bee to Northwest Ontario and Canada is the bumblebee. The honeybee is actually introduced. It came from Africa to Asia, and it was brought over to Europe, over to us. It is not a native species, but it is one of the most populated species that pollinates, because a bumblebee hive could have 25 to 30 bees per hive. Where a honeybee hive, where I have all my hives, each hive contains up to 80,000 honeybees. So with that being said, one honeybee creates 1 tablespoon of honey for you within its 5-week lifespan. That is it. But they are mass producers of pollination and gathering nectar, which in turn also creates our food source for pollination, which is vital for our food. And that's one of the biggest educational components that I'm trying to get across to people is, yes, they are not invasive. They are here. We are regulated under OMAFRA. I already have my own rules and regulations I have to follow under the Ontario government. I comply with them, but at the same time, what I'm trying to do is educate elected officials, and I hope you guys can talk to other elected officials as well within municipalities to come on board, because they are so important to us. But 80,000 honeybees is what gives you what you eat. 1/3 of the food that you eat every day is brought to you by a honeybee. The food you're wearing, for instance, like you have cotton, that is pollinated by a honeybee. Any vegetable, fruit, nut, any manicure, beauty creams, they all have honey. They have pollen, and that is brought in by the bees. So like I said, I apologize. I wish I had more time with you, ladies and gentlemen, but if you ever saw me on Facebook, take a look. you can see it there. I've been on YouTube. Shaw Cable just did one, and we followed from spring to fall on all the things I did. I was a fire chief, I was a sergeant of a jail, and then all of a sudden, Regan Breeze is a beekeeper. So it went from really high to a beekeeper. So
Well, you do have more time with this, Mr. Breeze. We're not halfway through council questions yet, so I
Yeah,
will ask
absolutely.
now for Councillor Fenlon.
Yeah, I guess mostly around here, the gardens that we have, which is your big ones. Yeah, Laurel plants a lot of flowers within everything that she grows, and we have horses to take care of the grass. They got to eat too, right? So, yeah, and I think every people in the municipality would be appreciative of it to learn more about bees, because they are dying off at a big volume right now. And I guess that says it for me.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Cassidy.
Yeah, no, I thank you, Regan. It much appreciated. This is something that is on the Environment Committee's work plan for this year, as Councillor Timpson alluded to, and it has been kicked around about how we approach this with the bylaw, and I think this is a good way to go about it, to acknowledge why we're doing it, and put our bylaw on hold for a couple months in the year. I think it's good. Some of the other stuff we talked about is maybe if you're supporting this and having a bee-friendly yard, we promote that with some signage or some other things, and draw the attention that way. So it's good, and I echo Councillor Timpson's comments about hopefully we can maybe set you up to join our next Environment Committee call. It'd be good.
I would graciously enjoy that. And Mr. McKinnon, I believe, sent attachment of the yard signs that are going all through Canada and the United States right now that we currently have. With that being said, I'd also like to tell you that I've had discussions with the superintendent of the Kenora District School Board. We are looking at having bee boxes being created by the high school students in their home ec class, because we do not have a bee supply place in Northwest Ontario, and they will be graded on that. And any of the kickbacks, large percentage of that will be going back to the Athletic Association for the Kenora District School Board. And the bee boxes will be then delivered to the Kenora, to the junior kindergarten and kindergarten classes to be painted as an art project, which they will be graded as well. So that's why I'm trying to make this as a community-based Northwestern Ontario segment, if I could say that. I'm very small. I'm only one person, but I have a loud voice, and I'm like the mayor, Mr. the Worship Lawrence. I have people follow me, and they know my passion. They know I'm educated on this. I'm a positive entity. I'm a pillar in the community. So people are listening, and we're doing good. Even with me being here tonight and with all of you on board, we're making progress. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know we have a couple more counselors that want to talk.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Councillor Lego.
Thank you, Mr. Breeze. Appreciate the passion and the presentation. I totally agree with what Mr. Breeze is promoting. I believe that the bee population is in decline. This is best suited, as Councillor Timpson and Councillor Cash said, to come through the Environment Committee. I hope Mr. Breeze and the Environment Committee connect and move forward with this. And I also like that it's an option for the people of Sioux Lookout to have in the future. So I think, again, it should come through our Environment Committee, and then I'd also like to maybe get them to hear from some of the other beekeepers in our community as well.
Absolutely.
I do support this.
Thanks, Councillor. So we've been around the table, Mr. Breeze, and I'll just finish off. I'll just say ditto to all the comments from council. I fully support it. And I also like the idea and thought about this, that the Environment Committee, Councillor Timpson, Councillor Cassidy, that perhaps
And I would look to the clerk and the CAO, how do we move this forward in time? There needs to be a promotion and education campaign as well as the whatever the relief for the bylaw if we're to be ready for May and June this year. So how do we proceed with this, Mr. Clerk, CAO clerk? Yeah.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence. So typically matters that are brought before council in a delegation, the matters referred to staff first for a staff report. And then that would come back to council. And then further direction would be provided at that time. So for example, if council wishes to refer the matter to the Environment Committee, that could happen following the staff report to council on the subject matter.
Great, thanks, and understood. That's, I just would like it to, I think, to proceed in a timely fashion so that perhaps this year we have that in place. Is that, I don't think these, the initial report from council, I don't think needs to be lengthy, would it? From staff? No,
yeah,
okay.
no, I think the report essentially would look at the request, look at the implications with respect to the bylaw, and provide some options for council in terms of how we could move forward in a way that meets council's desire to support the initiative.
Great, well, thanks. And I think that council is, thanks Mr. Breeze, and I think council has supported this, and there seems to be direction to staff to move along with this. So thank you very much for your presentation. I think you saw that we saw your passion, and although we're perhaps not quite as passionate, or you saw that we're very supportive of this initiative. And with our Environment Committee, I think they're already moving on something like this, and appreciate very much. And all the contact information is available for you with the clerk. So thank you very much, Mr. Breeze.
Thank you, everybody. And if I don't see you or hear you, have a beautiful holiday season. Take care. All the best. Keep safe. And thank you for tonight.
Thank you.
We're going to make a difference. All right. Thank you.
All right, council, we'll move on to items requiring separate discussion. Item 7.2 is first, the council directs staff to pursue option 5 and begin the demolition process by removing all interior finishings and infrastructure down to the structural components of the building, 58 Front Street, the Mayfair Theatre. At that time, complete an assessment of the structure to determine the next steps as per option number 5. Moved by Councillor Lego, seconded by Councillor Cassidy, and I'll start the discussion with Councillor Timpson lifted the issue, so we'll start there.
Yeah, actually, the reason I lifted it was I thought we had to because of the alternatives presented, but you know, I'm in agreement with that approach. My only thing is that let's just move on it fast, because this has been, it's been 8 or 9 years we've been trying to do something with the old theater, and everything has fallen through. So, but essentially I support this for sure. And I guess, what timeline are we looking at for this, and how much time would we need after we do the initial work without putting the roof on? How much time would we need to know whether or not that was the right route, or do we go fully to demolish it?
Development Services Manager, would you be the one to answer that?
Sure. Through you, Mayor Lawrence. Yeah, I mean, as you're probably all aware, it's hard to get a contractor in town to do work. So, I mean, I think the first step, if we go this route, is to issue an RFQ to do the first thing. We'd have to remove the asbestos containing materials, which isn't, you know, there isn't too much of it, so that shouldn't take too long. And then I would say hopefully after the new year, we could possibly get started on the actual demo process. And really, once you get going, you know, and you get the trucks backed up, it should only take a month or so to get it cleaned right out down to the studs, so to speak. And then just kind of perform some type of assessment, whether we do it in-house or we feel maybe we've got to move on. If we do find some concerns, and look at for some kind of more expert help. And if, yeah, and just ultimately, I mean, just based on the year, like the years that have passed, the condition it's in now, I mean, without getting to getting down to the studs, so to speak, we're not really going to know the condition of the building. So,
Okay.
so yeah, I would say hopefully by March we have it wrapped up.
Councillor Timpson, that answers your question?
Yeah, essentially, the ultimate demolition of the whole structure will be based on whether or not we find that it's even worth trying to rehabilitate or to rent out or whatever. Is that, did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Lawrence, that's the idea. This gives us just a better opportunity to look at the building and just structurally look at the building, and it also kind of creates a better template for somebody if we do deem it appropriate for development, that it gives, you know, it's a better starting point than the condition it's in now.
Yeah, just another, have another question. A few years ago, we put aside, I think, 300,000 for demolition. Is that in reserve somewhere, or are we looking at the next year's budget for this?
I'll have to, through you, Mayor Lawrence, I'll have to defer to Carly on where that money is.
Yeah, that was mentioned in the report, but I guess the question is, we budgeted it, did it just become surplus, or do we know? So Treasurer, do you have information related to that?
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, you're referring to cost that we possibly set aside for demolition?
Yeah, I think it's in the report. The year Councillor Timpson said 3 years ago, it might have been 3, 2. We talked about putting money. Did we talk about putting money aside, or we talked about? Not sure. Was there an actual financial commitment made in our budget?
Yeah, if I remember, it was a financial commitment of 300,000.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, I'd have to go back and look. Off the top of my head, I'm not aware, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, sorry, just reading through the report here. The 2018 capital budget included the $301,037 to demolish the Mayfair. However, at that time, council requested prior to commencing that this be brought to council for consideration of the next steps. And then at the December 18th, 2018 council meeting, direction was provided to prepare the request for proposal. That's option 4 in this. And that was presented at the April meeting in 2019. And then at that time, we deferred it again due to another potential opportunity so we deferred till 2020. And to date, I don't believe that opportunity has come to fruition clearly. So this is kind of where we're going from here. And again, I don't know if the money was put aside or how that worked.
Okay. All right. So if it was put aside, I assume would it be in reserve, or?
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, I'm not sure.
Okay, something to be researched for sure. I'm going to keep going around. I'm going to go to Councillor Howie. Any comments or questions?
No, I would just want to express my support for making an attempt to rehabilitate the building before we decide to fully demolish it. And I agree with the report, poses the best chance to try and make something of it rather than leveling the lot and creating another vacant space on our front street.
Councillor Beth?
Yeah, I agree with that, Councillor Howie. I think the 300,000 is a moot point. I think it's just a waste of time discussing it right now. I firmly believe we should have started this process we're proposing to start now, probably 5 years ago at least. It's a lot harder now. It looks a lot worse now than it did then. But it's the only way forward is to find out what we've got. I believe the structure is sound, but it's pretty messy, and that's what we need to deal with. So this will look after that. And then the worst case, or maybe the best case, is that once everything's stripped down and you can see what's there, we may get an offer to buy it, or at least we can tell which direction we're going. So I really support this.
Thank you. Councillor Fenelon.
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Bath there on that one, and get rid of the building and do what we can with it, get it tore down. What if somebody comes along and says, we've done all this work and they can, so we cleaned it all out and everything, and they want to do a presentation on it or buy it? Would we go back to square one again, or are we just going to eliminate it?
No, I think what the report is saying is let's clean out the asbestos. Let's clean out all the surface materials, the walls, the finished materials, the seats that are falling in and cluttering up the space, and then have a really good look at the structure and also other people, whoever. We can then assess our options once again. I don't think Councillor Bath was saying, let's tear the building down. I know he didn't say that.
Yeah.
And that's not what we're saying with this option, whichever option number 5 is. Let's do a preliminary, just clean out the interior, including the asbestos, which we would have to do regardless. Even if we said, let's demolish the building, the first step would be a separate contract to go in or incorporate into the contracts, but to clean out the asbestos. So you said a few things there, Councillor Fenlon, that we're not saying demolish the building. We're saying clean it out and then get to that point that you just said to assess it. And we hope in April or so next year we'll be able to be looking at it, sort of a clean slate in the cleaned out building, and say, what are we going to do with this, and see if there's anybody comes forward with any other ideas.
Yeah, every year that goes by, it gets worse, and it's going to cost us more and more. Costs are going up, and we know that, right? So from my point of view, I think we should just take it down. Okay, that's it.
CAO?
While the discussion was happening through you, Mayor Lawrence, I went back and checked our budget for 2018. The 301,000 was budgeted for the demolition of the building, and that was going to be financed through long-term debt. So of course the money's not there now, because the only time we would have used that money would if we financed it. So it's not in the budget. It wasn't transferred or taken out of reserves for that, or levied in that year. It was to be financed through long-term debt. And just another comment before the conversation continues is that recently I have been approached by 2 separate parties still interested in the Mayfair Theatre. So we may have some interest once we go through this process.
Thank you, CAO. Yeah, so the 301,000 was considered, but we never had the money. We were going to go into debt for it. So it's a moot point. It doesn't come into play anymore. Thanks. Councillor Cassidy.
CAO, you beat me to it. That was going to be my comment, was about that's where that probably was going to come out of, was long-term debt. No, I think this is good. I think we'll call this Operation Clean Slate for the Mayfair. We take the stuff out that's going to have to come out anyway. It gives us a systematic approach to demolish this in a phased approach, where if there's still value left there, we're going to realize it before it's all gone, before we just swing a wrecking ball through it. So this is probably the smartest approach to handling the Mayfair. It's been something that's been hanging over our heads this entire term and beyond. So I'm glad to see this is going through. So let's see where it takes us. So I support it.
Thank you. Councillor Lego.
Yeah, I'm in support of this as well. Still waiting to get the report on what it's going to cost to do the work that needs to get done to get it stripped down. And I'm glad to hear that there's still some interest in it. So I know that we were offering some kind of special terms there last time. So I think if we get this work done and people come in and go, yeah, it's sound structure, and we can hopefully move forward and get a new business or whatever they have it planned for going on, and revitalize that part of Front Street. It's a good thing to see going on right now.
Thank you. So I'm fully supportive. I thought the report laid out the options very well. Thanks for bringing this back to council. I think the status quo is completely unacceptable. We need to do something, and I think this is a very good way to proceed. So Unless I see everybody, I think we've been around the table and there was support all around. So unless I see a hand waving, I will call the vote on this. So the next hands I will see will be all in favor. Carried. Thank you, staff. Item 7.3, municipal health and safety. The council authorizes the passing of bylaw number 82-20, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 54-20, being a bylaw to establish a health and safety policy manual for the corporation of the municipality of Sioux Lookout and to adopt certain health and safety policies. Moved by Councillor Timpson, seconded by Councillor Howie. And I'll start the discussion with Councillor Timpson.
Yeah. Yeah, it was quite comprehensive. I had some questions or comments about 2.7, the contractor responsibilities. And looking at all the definitions of, there's one I've never heard of, a constructor. I'd like to see a definition of the contractor in there, although it may seem to be obvious. When I started reading service providers, manager, and so on, I think it would be good to have a definition of the contractor in there. And then in 2.7, there was a couple of places where a word appeared to be missing, like a connective word. I wondered about the $2. There was a highlighted in yellow with $2 exchange between the contractors. Is that like what used to be $1? You know, like what was that all about? I didn't catch what that was.
If I may, through you, Mayor Lawrence, the
Absolutely.
consideration of $2 is just a nominal fee, and normally it doesn't transfer between parties. It's like if you're transferring property for a nominal amount, there has to be a dollar amount in there. So that's why that's in there, to make it legal.
Oh. So there's 100% inflation from $1. Seems used to be $1. Okay.
Well, we can change it to 1. It doesn't really matter.
You know, I've never seen that. Yeah. And I was just wondering if, like, some of the rules and regulations, they appeared to be fairly obvious that would be, you know, the contractors would have looked after their own equipment and their own health and safety issues. And I'm wondering if this is a little bit too prescriptive at times. And then it talks about a dress code for the workers. Now, is that for safety reasons? There was something about like hemming up your shorts. You can wear shorts if they're hemmed up. Is that for safety, or is that for aesthetics? I don't know. So I just wondered if some of that isn't too prescriptive for a contractor.
I can answer that through you, Mayor Lawrence. One thing we have to make sure that in our health and safety policies that they are fairly detailed, especially when it comes to outside contractors, because there's an onus of responsibility to make sure that we do our due diligence to make sure that they're operating within our guidelines and adhering to the utmost health and safety procedures. If the Ministry of Labor were ever to come into the municipality and ask us about these policies and they were very vague or not detailed, the first thing they would say is that either write up an order or do something of that effect and say that you're not making sure that they're prescriptive enough. So we go to the, not the nth degree, but we try and make it as comprehensive as possible to make sure that they're adhering to proper health and safety policies while they're doing work in the municipality and especially on our property and with our equipment.
Okay. And could we get a definition of a contractor in there so that it's
Councillor, it's on page 1 of 2.7, definitions: contract, service provider, constructor.
Contract, but contractor. I didn't see contract. And there's constructor. Yeah, there's constructor and contractor. That's where I got it. I got a bit confused there.
CAO.
through you, Mayor Lawrence, the constructor could either be the municipality itself or an outside contractor. So if you look at it, it says means a person who undertakes a construction project for an owner, which is
yeah,
us,
yeah,
the
okay.
municipality.
Oh, okay. The approved contractor, okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't, I was looking for it more up higher, okay. Sorry about that.
All right, I'll see if there's any other questions around the council table. Councillor Howie?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bath?
No, I don't have any questions.
Councillor Fenlon?
No, I haven't.
Councillor Cassidy?
No questions, just a comment with regards to how onerous these may seem, Councillor Timpson. I guess my experience with working with health and safety in provincial levels of government, you're not allowed to assume common sense. So you need to make them prescriptive and cover all your bases, because it can come back to bite you. So I think it's good the way that these are done.
Councillor Legal?
Yeah, just one thing, policy 2.6, workers' accountability. The third page, reasons for warning of discipline. If you go down the list, there's the seventh reason. It states discourtesy or verbal abuse of guest or other employee. Is there nothing for being discourtesy or verbal abuse to the public, or is that something separate?
Yeah.
That would abuse of a guest would mean the public, anybody
Okay.
in your work environment.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anything further, council?
Yeah,
Councillor Timpson?
yeah, I was just looking at the, on page 1 of 3 of worker accountability 2.6, level 2, it says written reprimand, and then this is just a typo, I think. It says this interview occurs when the employee violates the rule. His interview doesn't seem to fit there. This action occurs would seem to be more appropriate.
Normally, through you, Mayor Lawrence, normally what happens if it's a level 2 written reprimand, an interview happens before the written reprimand is done.
Councillor Howie?
No, I just wanted to speak to clarify that as well. Thank you, CAO.
Sorry, Mayor Lawrence, I didn't hear what Councillor Howie said.
Oh, no, I was just speaking, I was going to say essentially the same thing you did. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just that that's confusing. It says written reprimand, and then it just goes into the interview. And maybe if that could be clarified a little bit. An interview occurs and then a written reprimand. Or
through you, Mayor Lawrence, I can add a bit of verbiage to make it a little bit clear.
Yeah, and then there was another place that I couldn't highlight it, but it said something about there's a word that. The word that seemed to it seemed to be missing. So it's minor. I can send it to you when I locate it here. I thought I wrote it down. And that was it. I just
All right, so it sounds like council supportive. I think that these minor typos are friendly kind of minor edits that can be achieved even after we pass this this evening. Is that correct, CIO clerk?
Yes, Your Worship.
Thank you. So if there's nothing else, I will call the vote on the municipal health and safety policies. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item 7.4, confirming columbarium purchases for cemeteries. That council authorizes an expenditure of $60,000 to be funded through long-term debt as part of the cemetery 2021 budget to purchase 2 columbaria, one each for the Northway, Sacred Heart Cemetery, and the Hillcrest Cemetery. Moved by Councillor Fenlon, seconded by Councillor Bath. Discussion starting with Councillor Lego.
Yeah, I just wanted clarification. Under the recommendations, it says as part of the cemetery 2021 budget. But then when you look at the financial implications, it says if approved, 60,000 will be included in the 2020 capital budget.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Lawrence. That's a typo. It should be, the second reference should also be 2021. My apologies.
Okay. That's all I had. I support this.
Just any further questions? Council, by showing your hand, and I will come to you. I see nothing else. So I will call the vote. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Bylaws. Mr. Clerk, how would you like to proceed with bylaws?
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, if you like, just because one has come off, one has been added, I can go through them for council if you wish.
Perhaps I should have said, Mr. Clerk, please proceed with bylaws.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lawrence. So there are now 4 bylaws for council's consideration for to give 3 readings and passing. Bylaw number 8220 being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 5420, being a bylaw to establish a health and safety policy manual for the corporation of the municipality of Sioux Lookout and to adopt certain health and safety policies. Bylaw number 8620 being a bylaw of the corporation of the municipality of Sioux Lookout to authorize the borrowing upon amortization debenture in the principal amount of $109,451.15 towards the cost of the reconstruction of the Mill Road. Bylaw number 8720 being the bylaw of the corporation of the municipality of Sioux Lookout to authorize the borrowing upon amortization debenture in the principal amount of $65,527.88 towards the cost of 2 new municipal vehicles. And finally, bylaw number 8020 being a bylaw to permanently close, declare surplus, and authorize the sale of a highway of the municipality. And so that's related to the public hearing from earlier this evening and the request from Slate Falls Heirs / Nobbies.
Thanks. So I just want to be clear, the bylaw related to the governing and the procedural bylaw, you didn't read that out?
No, because it was my understanding that the resolution was to defer it. Perhaps I misunderstood the outcome of that.
Yeah, it was, the resolution was not to defer it.
Thank you. My apologies.
CIO, you confirm that? Yeah. Thank you.
So yes, then my apologies. Bylaw number 09-20 being a bylaw governing the calling, place, and proceeding of meetings of council and council appointed boards, commissions, and committees, and to rescind bylaw number 1413 as amended.
Thank you. So if you've read out 6 bylaws just now, is that correct?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 altogether.
Sorry, yep, I counted the health and safety policy twice. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Cassidy, seconded by Councillor Lego. All in favor?
Should we not be lifting 8020? Since there was some discussion on that?
Sorry, the road allowance?
No, the policy, the procedure policy. Procedure bylaw, should that not be lifted for a separate vote?
No. Mr. Clerk, you can help me. And in the amendments to the resolution, the amendment section, we didn't amend the agenda and we voted not to defer the reading of that bylaw a 3rd time.
That's correct.
Correct? So are we okay to proceed with this? The way we read?
Yes, through you, Mayor Lawrence, yes. The bylaw 0920 is part of the bylaws that are being brought forward for approval tonight.
Thank you. So we had a mover, Councillor, and I'm sorry, my notation, I think it was Councillor Cassidy and seconded by Councillor Lego. All in favor of moving the bylaws as read by Mr. Clerk? Carried. Notices of motion, motions to reconsider.
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, I have none.
Outside resolutions,
Through you, Mayor Lawrence, I have none.
Councillor reports. Councillor Howie.
Well, I was in isolation for a brief period, so I didn't get up to much during that. We do live in a small town, so I'm sure many people are aware why. But all is well. But again, I still participate in some phone discussions with a few people, and have been outside as much as possible in the past few days since being free. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Timpson.
Oh, other than council meetings, hospital board meeting, environment committee meeting, we got moving again on that. And did I have a library board meeting? I'm sorry, I forgot to write these down, but curbside swap. I guess we're wrapping up the curbside swap for this year. And yeah, that's about it. Oh, and KDMA. And tomorrow on KDMA, we're having Member of Parliament Eric Arlillo is going to be present there. So other than that, I think that's about all.
Thank you. Councillor Bath.
Not very much to report council-wise. I did my normal pace, monthly pace meetings, and we will be starting probably starting the regional recovery loan program again. I would think probably in a couple of, certainly in December or early next year.
Thank you. Councillor Fenelon.
Yes, had a LCC meeting last week, Tuesday, I believe it was, and things are moving. The slack pile burn apparently went well, I guess, and things look good there, with the exception of one small one that was west of Hudson that never got touched, and a couple of people on the committee were asking about it, so the M&R will get back to them. And that's basically it. The contractors are moving into the winter cuts and settling down for the winter on that, and along with the small contractors working west of us here in town. That was it, basically.
Thank you. Councillor Cassidy.
Yeah, we had a daycare advisory committee. A few highlights from that is essentially kind of, I guess, since pre-COVID, we've kind of had a bit of a flip on what our daycare situation is, where we're pretty staffed fairly well, but our enrollment's down now due to some people finding other accommodations or other places for their kids, and or people leaving town. So our enrollment's low, staffing is good. The main concern, I guess, or some of the stuff that's kind of come up out of this post-COVID now, is the increased cost with cleaning supplies and PPE and stuff that's coming out of it, especially when we're running daycares at about half capacity in some instances there. So hopefully I guess we have received some shipments from MOE with regards to that, with some PPE and stuff, which has been good. And hopefully some of the Safe Restart funding will be able to offset some of those additional costs. Also, there's currently funding that we do have for the Bedobin Playground. So staff, I guess, are working at some options for that going forward. trying to get the most, it's the most bang for our buck, I guess, what we got funded from KDSB there. And we currently have 2 openings on the committee. So anyone out there listening that would like to potentially join the daycare advisory committee, I guess they send the application to you, Brian? Environment committee, as Councillor Timpson talked about there too. It was just kind of good to get back in touch with everyone and go through the work plan and see how see where everything's settled out after post-COVID. So looking forward to some more some B talk there as well. Attended the Youth Professional Network's speaker series with Victor Lyon. And I understand there's a special guest that's here with us tonight that's going to be on there tomorrow night, Mayor Lawrence. So people out there want to tune into that.
I think Councillor, it's next week, right?
Is it next week or tomorrow night?
If it's tomorrow night, we're in trouble. No, I think it's, the date has been changed. The date has been changed.
Got my Thursdays mixed up. So with that, and I went out and got my supported the Sioux Lookout Minnehawen, the foundation charity draw as well. So it's a good initiative to see in the community as well. Took part in the virtually the Remembrance Day ceremonies. They were very well done by our public library and by the folks at the Legion there. Very well done, and enjoyed some beef on the bun after as well. So it was good to see some stuff still finding a way to happen in town. So that's all for me.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Lego.
I attended the Kenora Home for the Aged meeting. A new community support service supervisor has been hired in Sioux Lookout. Most of the other stuff we dealt with is all COVID related, considering they are long-term care homes. Basically moving forward is being vigilant in basically Kenora because of the increase in COVID cases in Manitoba. So they're just keeping their eyes open, and hopefully nothing gets into any of the homes. So had a committee of adjustment meeting regarding some severing of land. Hopefully we'll see what comes of that in the future. Then the economic development strategy meeting we had last week, and I attended as a business owner the community safety and well-being stakeholder meeting as well, which was very good. And that's everything for me.
Thanks, Councillor. Since the last council meeting, I participated in a meeting called by SLIFNA with the Out of the Cold and the municipality to clarify various procedures related to admitting clients to both facilities. It was really a discussion between SLIFNA and Out of the Cold, and we were invited, and I think it helped clarify what our role is with and not with those agencies. So that was good. Attended the council meeting, the performance appraisal, CIO, and provincial safe restart financial application. Completed a one-on-one interview with Hydro One. This was an opportunity. Hydro One is doing consultation regarding their investment planning around the province. And fortunately, because of my role on AMO, they didn't want to talk. Hydro One wasn't going to be realistic to talk to 444 municipalities. So they consulted with AMO, and they ended up consulting with board members on AMO. And 12 of us stepped forward, and with the assistance of the CAO and the economic development manager, did a one-on-one interview, and I think we were quite successful in again highlighting the work that the staff has already been doing, but bring Hydro One attention to our location at the end of a power line, not on the grid, the need for upgrades to Sam Lake distribution base, and our hope that they would share that cost because it has implications beyond Sioux Lookout, we like to say. And so I thought it was a good interview. Participated in a meeting with First Mining and the economic development manager, and then a week later, that meeting was to have included Cat Lake First Nation. Because of weather, weren't able to attend the first one, so we did the same meeting a week later with First Mining. Really, we're there to support Cat Lake, who is the First Nation most proximate and most, and through the shared territory protocol, is the First Nation that speaks first to the mining developer. And we also made it clear that we would get really interested if the road came south from Cat Lake to Sioux Lookout, and if it went west to Ear Falls, that we don't really have much interest. So it was a good meeting. I think some frank things were said, and we'll see where it goes. Participated in the bi-weekly Northwestern Health Unit municipal update information calls that are available to all councillors throughout the health unit district. Prepared for and chaired the health unit board meeting. And at that meeting, there was discussion for planning a Northwestern Health Unit municipal council and administration information session. So I think we're trying to put that together in the next couple of weeks. An invitation will go out to all councillors in all municipalities across the region to participate in an information meeting with the health unit. So just watch for that information. Mr. Clerk, the health unit may consult you for some contact information as well. Prepared Mayor's Desk articles on Remembrance Day and encouragement of mask wearing. The last one came out this week. Participated in bi-weekly Northwestern Health Unit and Agency Vulnerable Population information sharing calls, which just information sharing between agencies on how it's going in the COVID process for vulnerable populations. Participated in the OPP-led Extreme Weather Committee meeting. Participated in Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan, the consultant-led meeting, as I participated through my role on the Police Services Board, and I thought that was a very interesting and pretty well-attended meeting. Councillor Lego, you were on that as a business person, so I thought it was a good cross-site, good working meeting. Attended the Legion to participate in the recording of the and participated in the wreath laying through the virtual ceremony that was put together by the Legion, which I thought was done very well with the library doing their good work there. Participated with the CAO and on economic development led meeting regarding rapid housing initiative, immigration and broadband, our efforts to try and get all of those going more strongly for Sioux Lookout. Participated in a health unit executive committee meeting, a special council meeting for the economic development strategy planning that we all took part in. Met with the CIO for preliminary discussion on possible Roma provincial delegation requests. Participated with CIO and economic development manager on a meeting with Goliath Goldland Mining. They contacted us and requested a meeting with the mayor and economic development. So Goliath, the mine that seems to be progressing reasonably well near Dryden, they now own the old Tamaka mine. So they're looking at it as one development, which is good for them. And once again, we said, well, what's in it for Sioux Lookout, and just sort of promoted what our involvement might be. Participated in a Municipal Truth and Reconciliation meeting just this week. Met with the clerk to help coordinate the presentation for Young Professionals Network, which was originally scheduled for tomorrow night, Councillor Cassidy, and I think maybe a notice has gone out deferring it until next week. And participated in a KDSB board meeting today, part one of budget presentation, and that good meeting. The KDSB and the health unit, I think their budgets, they're trying to, the KDSB has a little bit more influence on their budget. The health unit is a bit more provincially influenced, but trying to be zero. It'll depend. The only thing that would increase the KDSB budget is the assessment growth, not because the assessment phase-in is staying the same. There is no, the province has dictated it'll be the same, but there may be assessment growth, which would then impact how the municipal levy from KDSB is shared out among the municipalities, because that's what it's based on. Unlike the health unit is based on impact population, which is a weird statistic, which bears no resemblance to our population. It's actually from the enumerator's list. So you'll see the population for impact that the health unit must use is the populations of all the municipalities look like they're about half of actual population. And that was my month since the last council meeting. We do have a closed session tonight, and I need a motion to move into closed session at 7 p.m. to discuss subject matter relating to a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. One item, sale of property on south side of town, and also a subject matter relating to labor relations or employee negotiations. One item, collective bargaining. So moved by Councillor Howie, seconded by Councillor Timpson, that we move into closed session at 7:01 p.m. All in favor? Carried. Does anybody need a break?
Yeah, I could use one.
You jumped through my earphones just now. Yep. Okay. So let's take a 5-minute break. Come back at 7:06 in closed session. Looks like we're all back except that latecomer, Mr. Clerk.
Keeps getting lost.
Well, I think I saw the sun going down at 4:10 p.m. today. It's definitely dark and black out there now.
And in Brian's office.
He's working to break through that electronic screen that he's created there, that virtual screen.
He's got to put his open session background back in.
You can transfer all these jibes he's getting to him tomorrow, Jackie. You with us, Mr. Clerk? All right. Is there any ratification required?
Through Mayor Lawrence, yes, I can.
So lost your audio. Now you're on mute. Now you're off.
Okay, okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, so the council ratifies the resolution passed in closed session, providing direction to staff with respect to a land sale.
Moved by Councillor Lego, seconded by Councillor Cassidy. All in favor? Carried. And that bylaw number 8520 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the municipality of Sulacote, November 18th, regular council meeting be read a first, second, third time and passed. Moved by Councillor Timpson, seconded by Councillor Howie. All in favor? Carried. And do I still need a motion to adjourn?
For this meeting, let's tie it up with a nice motion to adjourn, sure.
Last one.
Last one.
Moved by Councillor Bath, seconded by Councillor Fenlon, that the meeting be adjourned. All in favor? Good night and thanks, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everybody.